Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Tired Hinsa and you're watching SDTV. World has unraveled after continuous 8 decades after the Bretton Woods institutions, when IMF and the World Bank were established for trade and developing those part of the world where the empire had the business interest. Pakistan was developed. Pakistan was given loan because they needed a garrison state. We were given billions of dollars to develop dams and other, and that was the era when Pakistan showed great growth also. Now it seems that it has come to an end. Now the trade war is on. The Cold War was a kinetic war, and that was fought indirectly on surrogate roughs in Vietnam and Afghanistan. This Cold War, this second Cold War, this is economic war, and that is a direct war. That's why we listen a lot of about the tariffs and all that, and counter tariffs and other things in new markets. So the whole world is changing. On top of that, now trade agreements are coming. British Prime Minister goes to China, Canadian Prime Minister, they were, principal part of the West, would go to China and all. And then India has a historic, they say, mother of all agreements, had a trade agreement with Europe about similar sort of economy, huge markets, and vice versa. And now President Donald Trump, under the King Donald Trump, they have an agreement with India as well. And I don't know if they have insisted or not, but they have been given 1% less tariff what was given to the Pakistan. Pakistan was on 19 and they are on 18. What shape the world is going to take place in coming days and months, and what effect this is going to have on Pakistan. And I'm asking for a very principal reason, because US is one of the biggest destination of Pakistan textiles, apparels, garments and other things. So is the EU, and with EU we have already out of a box agreement, we call it GSP plus. And they say in the last couple of years, Pakistan had advantage of around 75 billion US dollars because of that agreement into the. That is Europe, EU is the second biggest destination. The Pakistan has export destination. So what would be the shape of the agreement? And on top of that, how would China take it? Because biggest country on planet Earth, as far as the population is concerned, India, growing at 6% and scheduled to grow. They say it has been forecasted that India is going to grow about more than 8% in the coming years. So all this have to be assessed, great in-depth research by the experts to find out, give projections and probabilities and all. This is one small effort that we are doing. We have today invited one of the greatest expert, who has a very long, life as a professional, doing on the customs and participating representing Pakistan on different international forums like WTO and GATS and all other. And he knows inside out, and we are going to ask him, try to put some intelligent question about the future, about we know little. We have today with us Dr. Manzoor Ahmad. Thank you very much for giving us this ample time. Please say something on what I've just said, and we'll rumble on as a basic premise.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity and a very good introduction. Well, as you said, for the world was very different before Trump came, especially this Trump second. And as you said, just since the Second World War till now, no country, apart from a little bit here and there, but in general, no country has ever used tariffs as a weapon. And this is the first time it's happening. The tariffs were always going down. The first time, and US had really reduced their tariffs maximum average of 1 or 2%. And now they're using those tariffs. And US in the process had become the biggest global import market for every country, whether it's Pakistan or India or China, etc. So now suddenly to withdraw from that market is not easy. because you cannot really diversify. Where would you go? So US is using that as a I should say as a weapon. But the strange thing is that US is not only doing it for its adversaries like China or like anybody else, as it used to be in the past. There are Iran or some other countries. It's equally doing it for its own allies. And India is one example, because India, for the last several years, America was trying to woo India, because America was thinking that if it has to confront China, it has to be through India. So we have to pop up India versus China. So this is something is very unusual happening, and that's how it is. But we can continue on, I think, with other points that you might like to ask me.
Let's start from Pakistan before we
Yeah,
just go.
yeah.
What effect do you see? Because up till now, for the last couple of months, especially after the 4-day war with India in May, Pakistan and obviously civil and especially the military leadership was being considered as a darling. And he would refer with the word my favorite and other things. Now it seems that overnight it is going away. If it's not reversing, but it's losing its shine.
Well, you can say it, but really, I mean, India, for both India as well as Pakistan, U.S. is, as a single country, is the biggest or the largest market and trading partner as well.
Yeah,
both
yeah.
both are important. So and India has a far more diversified exports. I mean, they are into pharmaceuticals, they are into engineering goods, gem and jewelry, and lots of other things. Whereas Pakistan is only confined to textile and clothing. Almost 77, 70, 80% of Pakistan's exports are in that category. So the real competition for Pakistan, vis-a-vis Pakistan, is in this sector. And here, since US raised tariffs originally, that what they call Liberation Day, I think it was on 2nd of April last year, 2025. They raised they did some mathematical formula and raised on India, Pakistan, something like 25% right there. Since then, for many other countries negotiated their tariffs and tried to bring them down. Pakistan did the same thing, brought them down to 19%. And but for India, they were expecting that they are going to have a deal with the US, and not only that this tariffs will be much lower, like almost 0 or 10%, but that they will have an edge on everybody else, because they are going to give a big access to US. But strangely enough, things didn't turn that way. First, that 25% stayed on, and then, and that was in April. In August, US suddenly put another 25%. So their tariff became 50%. And that the other 25% was mostly to punish India for importing oil
From Russia.
From Russia.
Fueling the Ukraine war,
Fueling the Ukraine war.
as they say.
And US was pressurizing India a lot. And India was saying, this is our sovereign right. This is our energy security, sovereign right, and we are not going to concede on this point. Although inside, slowly they were reducing their.
They would knew what is coming up.
Yes. I mean, they were at the height of it. There were 2 million tons of fuel, and then it had already, by this January, it had halved 1 million tons. Also, they had stopped buying oil from Iran after US pressure. So they were conceding slowly, but they didn't want to be seen doing it. And they were, but they were thinking that, okay, there's still a lot of money to be made, because they were getting about 25-30% discount. And
it was a windfall.
It was a windfall. But now I think then they recently may have done their calculations and realized that they're losing far more, because First, it seemed that this is not going to, it's not impacting, but their orders will be, I think they lost about 20% share of their exports in certain areas like textile clothing, like gems, where there are tariffs. I mean, US didn't put tariffs on everything. For example, pharmaceutical, there were no tariffs, and some other things there were no tariffs. But where there were tariffs, like 50%, so they started losing their market share, only honoring what were the previous, those commitments, etc. But they were losing it. So I think they realized that they cannot go on like this. So they have to find a way. And so behind the scene, they tried to negotiate. Personally, having known India's negotiators and negotiations, they normally try to stand firm. They try to at least show that they are independent. That this time, although it might be termed as their victory, etc., but it's real capitulation. Why I say this? Because, okay, now first on tariffs.
They capitulate, you say?
Yeah, they capitulated. They just surrendered. You see,
to the fate or to the Donald Trump?
To Donald Trump. You see, what happened was that they will still be Indian exports to US, normal tariffs plus 18% more. See? On the other hand, US...
Normal tariffs are reciprocal tariff.
No, which had been there. No, reciprocal tariffs, you call it, which were, for example, US previously had hardly any tariffs on other things, but they had tariffs on say, clothing, etc., and some such things, labor-intensive product, they had tariffs, but otherwise there was no tariffs. So those normal tariffs are about 15, 14, 12%, depending on
whatever
what it is. And plus this 19%. And on the other hand, they have agreed to allow US imports into India at zero.
At zero tariff.
At zero. That's what...
zero tariff or zero rated?
No, zero tariff. But that's what President Trump in his Truth Social says.
How can they do it?
Let's say, this is what they've agreed. This is one thing, but this is not the end of it. Second, US has said that you would be buying or investing, whatever, it's a little bit confused terminology, but buying up to $500 billion of goods from US. And
it's their buying or it's size of total trade?
No. Total trade is currently something like, they're 120 billion or whatever it is.
So 500 billion is trade or just buying?
They said that currently India is buying about 41 billion. They say you will raise it to 500 billion. It doesn't look likely. I don't think it's going to happen. This 10 times more. How would India? But they said, what US said, okay, our energy you'll buy from here. You will buy our agriculture products. You'll buy our technology things. So this is what President Trump and his spokesperson just said on TV, that India is committed to buying this way. This is the second thing. Third thing is that India will stop buying, that's what the US claims, stop buying Russian oil. Fourth thing, which I've already agreed, was, India was already building this Chabahar port to bypass Pakistan to Central Asia, etc. So United States pushed them, and they have already stopped. They got out of it. So I think lots of conditions India had to accept. And only in return, US would reduce that recently put tariff, which it had done anyway on all other countries, like on Pakistan, like every other country. It had brought down to around 18, 19, 20%. For some countries, maybe EU, it was 15%, but others around the same level. So I think this is a very unilateral
that is what Trump is.
Yeah.
Unilateral.
But it's not.
He doesn't believe in multilateralism.
No, he does not. But it's not sure India can put up, because on the Indian side, if you hear of Indian side, Modi just said, okay, our tariffs have been reduced from 50 to 18%, but didn't say anything about other things. But Trump said it clearly in his post, and his spokesperson, everybody said it. So I don't know, because currently there's nothing signed as yet. So they say that they'll have something signed in a week's time. So let's see what happens.
So you think that still they will negotiate between the lines or in the box or something?
Yes. I mean, they have to work out the details. And also, for example, they say 500 billion India has to buy. Is it just a year? And is it over 10-year time?
No, it has some stipulated period, but that they can diversify, because if they don't buy oil from the Russia and buy the Venezuela, so
No. But going from 40 billion
to 500
to
billion,
500 billion is a big thing.
It's a
India,
big jump.
Whole budget.
half a trillion. It's a big jump.
Whole budget is about 600 billion, so you can't really spend everything on US. This not like
That's not possible.
Not
And on top of that, if there are no tariff on other things, they will push in Monsanto and other companies. They will put corn and soybean. In Punjab, they'll be and Haryana and all, let's say the granary of the whole India, it would be a political issue.
Yes, because India has always said agriculture is their red line. And even
And now it's a deadline.
Now it's a deadline. Even in recent deal with EU, they didn't agree. Agriculture was kept aside. But US pushed, because US had previously lots of agriculture exports were going to China.
EU has a little land which they produce. Agriculture is not that huge. But US, one company can,
Yes. And also with EU, their own agriculture was sensitive. So they said, okay, let's keep agriculture aside. Let's focus on industrial goods. But US has always seeks agriculture export markets.
GMO foods and everything.
Yes. And especially India had this genetically modified food. They said, that's our red line, etc. But US mostly produces GMOs. So, yeah.
Monsanto and other companies.
So it's not, it hasn't just
Cargill's.
come out. Yeah, I mean, and also it's a livelihood for, farmers and
they commit suicide every year
Yes.
because they cannot return, and the land holding is very small.
So, yeah.
In India, it means it's already competitive and saturated on productivity.
Yes.
So what effect it's going to have on Pakistan?
Well, Pakistan basically, it's.
And for example, in textile.
In textile clothing, we had a little margin, not a little, quite a bit of margin, because we were paying 19%, they were paying 50%. But this was more temporary. I mean, this happened since April, and then more happened the difference came in August. So for the last 4 or 5 months. So this was expected that 25% is just
going to go away.
So the question was, how much India is reduced from 25%? And it's about the same as is done for Vietnam and Pakistan, India. 18, 19 doesn't make any
Just
difference.
on the periphery, there are other peer economies, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Cambodia, now they say Laos and all that.
Yes.
So where Pakistan is placed, as far as the US is
it's
concerned?
about the same.
About the same.
About the same.
So it's more or less we have to put our act together internally.
Yes. I mean, they're 19%, 20%, 50%.
So now we come to Europe.
Yes.
Mother of all deals.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yes, I mean, that's a big
That's
deal.
one-sided.
Yeah.
That's one-sided.
No, I'm not saying that one-sided.
It's not US deal.
Well, it's slightly different. Let me explain how it's different. I mean, first, India and EU were negotiating it for almost 20 years. 20 years.
Yeah, we know.
And for a long time, from 2013, it was almost stuck. For 6 years, there's no progress. And they almost, it seemed like a dead deal because they were not making progress. But because India felt very pushed from the US, and so did the EU.
EU both.
So EU wanted another market for their luxury goods. Luxury goods means their alcohol and their
automobiles.
Automobiles and the high-end automobiles, etc. German, and India had
and
these
wines from French wines,
Italian wines, and all
spirits
those
from
Spanish wines, and all those. So India was, especially on automobiles, they had a tariff of 110%. And for a long time, they had kept this, they were not reducing it. Now with the EU, they have agreed to reduce it to 10%, from 110% to 10%. But they have a little caveat that we will only allow, for the time being, a quota of 250,000 cars, and not
units.
Units. But that is also quite substantial.
250.
Yeah, 250,000 quite
Sizable,
substantial.
especially of the luxury items.
And on alcohol, they had also very high tariffs, and they are reducing it to about 50%. It was more than 150% or whatever. So they are bringing it down because Europe already sees India a big consumer of their whiskeys and their wines, mostly whiskeys because wines are a little bit more expensive with mostly those things. So they think that India will be.
But I don't know if I may be wrong, but it's my impression only. But the consumption is mostly of the local desi made, what they call a thara.
Tara, but it's changing because Indian
Of the
incomes
wealth.
Indian incomes have risen, and also when tariffs come down, because India smuggling is not that easy like in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So this once the prices come down, so I think there'll be far more consumption.
What impact it's gone on the peers, especially Pakistan? Textile and everything, GSP plus.
You see, currently our textiles also enjoy zero duty in Europe because due to GSP plus. But this GSP plus is up to December 2027. So it is being considered for extension. But
By them.
by EU, but they are indicating that it's not going to be that easy as it used to be in the past. Why? Because they said previously UK was a part of when previously the UK
Before
was
the Brexit.
Before the Brexit, UK was there was a group of countries which were in pro-Pakistan as trying to push that. But now those countries are out, and also within the European Parliament and the member countries, right-wingers have emerged who are not that much in favor of Pakistan because they think that our human record has not improved. Especially they are worried about two things. One, that we are misusing blasphemy laws, especially against minorities. And the other thing they were sensitive about is that because last year the EU delegation was here, they invited me for a chit chat, and I said, what exactly are your problems? Because he said this, and then he said, you have death sentence for 35 different crimes or whatever this thing. And he said, why do you need for everything death sentence? Because death is, Europe moratorium and they don't do it. And he said, whenever there's some discussions at the UN or something, you take sides with Iran and Saudi Arabia, where death is very common. People are, this thing. But they think that Pakistan should be a different country in a different league. So, there are these things which they are very concerned.
Human rights.
Human rights, yes.
Mostly.
Yes.
So they can, I think, they can improve.
Maybe things have slightly changed, but previously they couldn't even touch because the mullahs had a very strong...
But the whole outfit was decimated in one day in one geographic location.
Yes,
you have seen that.
Yes.
So I think it would be.
But they, for the timing, that's what I'm saying. But now we are having Basant and we are having other things. But
it would be difficult.
It will be difficult.
It has inertia of its own.
Yes.
What about the competition on textile and other things with India?
I mean, for the time being, so long we have GSP plus. And India zero. I mean, it's about the same. I mean, they will have zero rate and we have zero rate. And also we should understand that it's, as I see in the newspapers, that it's immediately that no, it's not immediate because it takes they have to the agreement has to go through various parliaments, so it takes at least 18 months or something. And so it's at least 18 months before that agreement, and then it's spread over 7 years.
So where do you see China vis-a-vis these two agreements with India? We are a very small fry in the whole scheme.
China doesn't really care. China has been standing up, only country standing up to all these pressures. For US, whatever they said, okay, we're putting this much tariff, they say, okay, go ahead, we'll do this. So China's exports, from if when Trump was for the first time when he came, so they had deficit of about 500 billion, and they started putting that pressure, and Biden continued everything. That deficit has grown to 1 trillion. A trillion. So China's exports have not suffered, and China has also been thinking that that's what is going to. So they were trying to reduce their reliance on exports. and do it more within the country, this trade. So I think China is quite huge for the time being. They're all, European, whatever they are doing with India, but they are also trying to appease China.
It seems that the word, the Greater West, I would call, we had been hanging, Pakistan has been hanging like a chandelier to the roof of the Greater West. Now the things are changing very fast. Already in the term of military, we have 80% hardware of the Chinese, and that was the reason for success. We have a dependence totally. We are totally joined with them. What do you think that in coming days and years, what would be Pakistan looking back, looking to China, or how?
Well, you see, Pakistan has to be, being a small economy, and for its imports, it depends on China. All like most other countries, raw materials and machinery, etc., has to come. For their exports, they to depend on Europe and US, and Pakistan's dependence is much more than other countries, because Pakistan 60% of its exports go to US or
And
let's say EU. Yes, so Pakistan has to little bit try to diversify more. It has to. There is a almost all Asian Pacific countries have come up with this what they call regional cooperation for economic partnership, RCEP. They're 16 from Australia to Japan to all ASEAN, etc. And Pakistan is staying out of that. Pakistan should also become a part of that, so that it belongs to a bigger group, and it has more say rather than just being alone, because Pakistan's trade share has been shrinking, so it doesn't even have 0.121 0.10 of the global trade share. It used to be 0.16 a few years ago. So Pakistan has to diversify that way. And Pakistan, the other thing is, Pakistan has been in the past very protected, just staying inside. Okay, no, we don't want to trade with. Our trade to GDP ratio is 30%, which is one of the lowest. So Pakistan has to change.
What it should be?
Why it should be average, global average is at least 50%. At least, yeah.
Okay. Last question.
Yeah.
Do you think we have to put our act together internally as well? And I say what I'm asking you is, on petroleum, it's about 40 rupees a liter or something, and we sell at about 250 taxes. And these are indirect taxes. Poorest of the poor pay that, and then they are collected, and they go vertically upward, and they, in term of salaries and all and everything, it is elite capture. In China, when they started making good money, what they did? You know that better than me. They gave it to the poor. Education and health become nominal. Then they made communes, agriculture for their livelihood for some time, and lease land without rent for 33 years, for some time. And that is how they sustain. And in 20 years, the country, which was being pulled by a locomotive of about 250 million people, another 800 million people joined them. 1 billion Chinese are now pushing the Chinese. That is how they produced productivity.
Yes.
Here,
Yeah.
they are increasing inequality day by day. And it's very similar in the US. In the subprime housing mortgage, the $1 trillion debt swap with the China they all gave to those who actually was responsible, not to the people who lost their houses in US, but to the Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, and the Lehman Brothers and their executives, 100 million, all they eat away again.
Yes. Pakistan, you see, China is a very different. They came out of communism, and they were becoming very capitalistic. But then, since President Xi came, and he's tried to put down the big, individuals who were like the US who were going. So China is more equality. But Pakistan, yes, there is inequality. It should be reduced. But overall size of the pie should grow bigger. And for whatever we may say, but China's big engine of growth was trade,
Yeah.
and then along with that, education and health. So
Yeah,
we should,
yeah.
these three things we should focus: trade, but then health and education. Because if your
Social
education is
sector.
higher, you will be producing better quality goods, more value added goods, rather than the lowest value goods. So I think these three things.
Yes, I agree. Deng Xiaoping said, improve your productivity and export it.
Yes.
And what they did,
That's it.
Vietnam followed the same thing after that. Indonesia
Yes.
followed Deng Xiaoping
Yes.
after that.
Yeah. Every country, the quicker it realized that, the quicker it was able to
And
go.
top of that, whatever earning elite capture is, they don't use it here. They transport it by real estate in Dubai and elsewhere.
Yeah, well, real estate they've tried to.
Another venture also.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that is
But I think,
flight of capital.
but I must say that if you look at it, we could curse things, but where we were 2 years ago, 3 years ago, on the verge of default, everybody was talking about Pakistan just defaulting, and now nobody's saying that. And then those May incident with India, and other countries realize that Pakistan is not a run-over country. That's why you see all these heads of states coming, and now Pakistan, for the first time, receiving orders on their defense, and we are unable to meet the requirement of other people. So I think there's a turnover. Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Saab, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I think you keep your fingers crossed, but you have some hope also. So I think but one thing is certain, we have to put our act together internally
Yes.
for everything, this foundation, and it's about time to do that.
Yes.
So with this, we come to the end of the program. We'll keep on doing. I think it's a basic service for all planners and the managers and the government also. When this sort of uncertainty stucks, then we need people who spend their whole life doing all that, and they can perhaps show the pathway and tell us how to march and how to tread there. So with this, we come to the end of the program. Bye for now.